Hello and welcome to another episode. We have an exciting one today, I think. You may know him for his really well-known comics of Justice or Earth X, but did you know that he also wrote Tomo for Zondervan?
Oh, so this is going to get ugly right away.
Is that the biography of Perry Como?
No, it's called Tomo.
Short for Perry Tomo.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It was I actually that was one of the ones I actually liked. I actually worked on the Mango Bible for them.
Oh, really? You know, I liked it. Because I wasn't the writer on the first volume, and Tom Koepp brought me
that's always fun.
Take it from there when the first writer skipped town, I guess. I look back at it and I'm like, oh, there's some good ideas in there. I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
At least parts of it.
But I mean, obviously it's always easier if you can get on from the beginning and have more say so and more of a plan and all that stuff. But it's definitely challenging. It's challenging to come in. I know Mike knows that too. Just coming in after other writers. I don't know how much Mike has actually been boxed in by other writers, but
I don't feel like Mike could be boxed in by anyone. I feel like
I know
he takes it and he runs, and he's a miracle worker.
Well, thank you. You're too kind, but really, I'm much happier working on my own properties. As you point out, that Jim and I are both from Madison, Wisconsin, and that's where we met back in the day. Jim contacted me and said, I'd like to buy you lunch and pick your brain because I want to get into comics.
I thought he was from Milwaukee.
There was this restaurant called the Nautigal, and
Naughty Gal.
I was told it was the Naughty Gal, and so I was like, "Yeah, let's go to the Naughty Gal." But then I saw the spelling, and I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, it's like how Taco Bell becomes Taco Hell. I hope they're not a sponsor of this show because that would have been wrong for me to say.
They are not.
Oh, good.
I missed the Naughty Gal. It was on the Yahara River, as I recall.
Is it not there anymore?
Well, I don't know. I'll take a look when I get back. I suppose I could look it up right now.
But I don't know that it's I'd love to know. I think the next time, because I go on these drives because I live in LA. I drive to, Wisconsin for home and hang with family and all that kind of thing. And I like the drive so much, but I always try to go up through Madison. So,
yeah, it's there and it's thriving, and they just listed their summer music sets.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yes, and for anybody that sees the musical instruments behind Jim, those are not his; those are his wife's.
Yeah, they are. So, but there's a bunch. I'll kind of swivel a bit.
Is she in a band?
She is. She's in a couple bands. She's in. She's like kind of all over the place. She's in this kind of. I want to call them a groove band, or they're like groovy kind of. They're called the Adeliers, and she just kind of joined that band. And then she also has been a longtime performer with the Eagle Rock Gospel Singers, which is I would call it, because it is gospel music, I would say it's music for sinners or blues to drink whiskey to with a happy end.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then she's also part of Tom Kenny and the High Seas. And Tom Kenny, of course, is the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. And so it's kind of like a Blues Brothers band. And
Does she have any records out?
She does not have records out, but you can definitely find the Eagle Rock Gospel Singer stuff on Spotify. And in fact, if I were to direct you to a couple songs, I would say Meet Me is amazing. I would say MMLJ. No, it's not MMLJ. It's MMLJ. And then I'm Gonna Rise was the one that was used last year in the ESPN commercial.
Oh, cool.
you know, where you see these guys being beat into the ground and they keep
Yeah.
up. And it was especially poignant, you know, especially with everyone kind of knocked down, you know, by diseases and politics. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, very cool. Okay, so you guys met. You guys met in.
Oh, and Mike was so
Madison.
great, and you know, I remember him giving me one piece of advice because I told him about this Plastic Man idea, and he was like, "Well, you know, I don't think you should put all your eggs in one basket." So that was wise advice. Now I have too many eggs, and I'm working on a second basket, so that's not the best either. I would guard against that as well.
So how did you how did you meet up with Alex Ross?
You know, it was like I had been writing advertising in Madison for some company. I don't even remember their name, but I remember I was doing like, I think I wrote an ad for one of these like classic golfers who, and it was an ad for hearing aid batteries, and like it opened with him hitting everything, and then he put the batteries in and kept on missing, and everyone was like, he was like, "Thanks, ever ready," and that's how the commercial ended. So it was like at that point, but that agency didn't work out. And by the way, Madison was the most dangerous city I have ever lived in my life. That's why I went to New York after that. But anyhow, I have my Madison stories. I think that this was before I met Mike, because I was like, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here. I would never have even taken a meeting with Mike, who I adored, because as a Wisconsinite, you know, it was all about Nexus and Badger.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That. It was like, that was the claim to fame. You couldn't go into a comic shop without people running the shop and talking about, you know, Nexus and Badger.
You must have gone into Capital Comics. You must know Bruce, right? Did you know
Bruce?
Bruce?
I do. When I go through Madison, if I have time, I always go in there. But and that's a great shop. It's like that shop stores comic books in a way I've never seen ever before in any other shop. It's like every comic is in a plastic sleeve, of course, but they're stacked.
Oh yeah.
So you have to take the whole stack off and then go through each book to get to the one you're looking for if you're trying to fill a hole.
Yeah.
But Capital City Comics is a great store, and he's nice, and he's got such a selection of books. Like,
been there for 45 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
So back to Alex Ross. I was working at this advertising agency. It wasn't like really working out. I mean, the one ad was great with a thing, but I could just tell that it wasn't a match for me. And so I'm looking at you guys as opposed to the screen. I hope that that's fine.
That's
Sure.
Look at whatever. But I will say that's a great. But storytelling, breaking it down that simple. I mean, that's a good way to get better at storytelling. Is even for like doing ads and things like that, because you're telling a story with the
right. And so I told an ad, or I did a campaign with a designer I knew on me, and I started sending that stuff to Marvel, and like I had my advertising portfolio ready, and I had first gone to the Chicago Comic-Con and met one of the guys who worked in the advertising department, and he was like, you know, look, the department's growing, maybe we could have a place for you. And I said, okay, can I send it a campaign? So I did this campaign for myself, and it was everything from there were these long kind of cards that would be folded, and you would open it up for the teaser. So the first one was the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man with a word balloon coming out of his mouth, but I had whited out all the word balloon, all the words, and it opened up and said, I think we all know what's missing, Jim Krueger, copywriter. And then the second one showed all these back issues and stuff like that. And I said, you know, comics are like every other business. They just have different issues, Jim Krueger, copywriter, you know. And then there was another one that I said, in the last 6 months, I've been I found homeless people living in my basement, witnessed a beating, and been held at gunpoint. And then that opened up and it said, I think I'm ready for New York, Jim Krueger copywriter. And then I don't remember the fourth one, but I think the fifth one was, I hear you're looking for someone to write copy in your advertising department. And it opened up and handwritten, it said, copy in your advertising department. Am I hired? And so I sent that in my portfolio, and they said, Marvel called back and they said, yeah, no, this is a great campaign. We love your enthusiasm. We love that you know the books. Something may open up in 3-4 months. And I said, well, how about if I come right now? And the guy I met at the con in Chicago, I asked him if I could crash with him because, copywriting, junior copywriting doesn't pay any better than comics does. So, ultimately he let me crash there, and I started work and went in, did an interview, and I felt like 2 weeks later they called me up and said, we'd like you to start in a month and a half. And then, ironically, getting back to how I met Alex, is they were like, oh, well, the advertising people, the marketing people, we're the ones who usually work the booth at the cons. And so we need to send you to a convention. And the convention was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is my hometown. It wasn't Madison. I moved to Madison for the advertising job. And the first person I was supposed to take around and show his new artwork to and the intro stuff for Marvels was Alex Ross. And we instantly bonded. He had hair then. I had hair then. He still gives me a hard time about shaving it all. He's like, there's nothing wrong with a toilet bowl haircut. What is wrong with you? Why do you have to be this way? But we joke like that. So,
well, Jim, you have to be that way because you look like an evil villain.
Well, I do. I mean, ultimately, I'm too gooey. I need something to balance things out. That's for sure.
It's his
your Facebook photo. Jeff, have you seen his Facebook photo?
Nope, I have not seen it.
Check it out later.
Oh my gosh, it's the tintype. It's there's this photographer in Nashville who does tintype photos, and it grabs, as opposed to what cameras try to do today, it grabs every pore, every broken pore of your face, and no matter what, you look like a monster.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of lending towards Boris Karloff out of the Mummy movie, so I'm kind of thinking that's okay.
Yeah. Hey, horror is popular, so I mean it's a good.
Right. And so Alex Ross and I was promoting him. I was showing him, kind of the first scripts and comic books I ever wrote and made up. And this is another really embarrassing thing, but you guys started this with Tomo. I could go into it. This is something someone shouldn't do. So remember when Spider-Man first came out and everyone was giving Todd McFarlane a hard time about writing? Right.
Yeah.
He's a much better writer now, and that only comes from trying.
Right.
I'm a writer now, and that only comes from trying. But I thought, okay, well, maybe he's looking for a better writer. So I blew up every page, whited out all the word balloons, and rewrote it. And then was that evil of a fan who took him a copy of it and gave it to him and said, hey, I rewrote it if you're ever looking for a writer. So cruel, so dumb. I look at that now and wince.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got to have some kind of story like that.
Yeah. But anyhow, Alex and I walked around. We talked about Machine Man, and he told me how his mom made a costume of Machine Man for him with extending arms and stuff like that. And we geeked out while promoting Marvels on all 70s Kirby stuff. And that led to a friendship where I remember being at cons with him, and he was telling me his ideas for Kingdom Come, and I was writing this thing, this thing in Marvel Vision magazine, which was Marvel trying to do. It was that era of Marvel where Marvel was like, oh, let's do what everyone else does so we can have that part of it too. So Marvel's like, ooh, let's have our own distributor and force all the other distributors out. And, oh, let's have our version of Vision magazine or of Wizard magazine. We'll call it Marvel Vision. And anyhow, there was a thing in Marvel Vision where I would hire artists to redesign the classic Marvel characters, but the thing they had to discipline themselves with is they couldn't do it the way it had been done. Like they had to pretend that they were Kirby or Ditko or Ramita or Heck or whoever, and Stan just came to their office and was like, hey, I got this idea. Submariner. Well, not Submariner because that goes before that. Dr. Octopus, go. You know, and that was great for the first couple. And then I was like, these designs are so interesting. It almost suggests that there should be an alternate way the story would be told. So I started writing these other versions of the history of the character. And I'd been raised in, my dad had a garage, was an auto mechanic. And so he would always play me Paul Harvey's Rest of the Story. And so I would listen to that and, oh, what's the secret thing I could put in and stuff like that. And Alex just loved it. Like every time a new issue came out, he would call up to say how much he loved it. And then when Wizard Magazine called him and said, after Kingdom Come, we want to do an article on what your vision of Marvel's future would be. He called me up to do kind of the write-ups on those things like I did with Marvel Vision. And that kind of got the whole ball rolling.
Cool. And is that what ended up leading to Earth X?
It eventually? Yeah.
But you guys did. Didn't you do Justice before that, or did you do?
No, Justice is after that, and Superpowers was after that, and Marvel's X is after that, and whatever we do next will be after that.
That's awesome, though. I mean, you guys, you've done some awesome stuff. Yeah, and I was noticing. I was like, oh yeah, he's done all these things. Winning these awards. He even won some awards for advertising and stuff too. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, I wrote the advertising campaign for the Sheboygan fishing tournament in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and I just love driving into Sheboygan and seeing a big billboard saying "Keep your fly open for 3 days in August."
Nice.
Hush, you muskies.
Yeah. Or like there was another one in the newspaper. People would open up and say, you know, hang out with the local hookers. You know.
Nice.
It was fun. It was really fun.
What Star Wars comics did you write?
I wrote some of the Dark Horse Tales ones. There's a Mace Windu one that especially got some notice and like and stuff like that. I'm hoping to do more in the future.
Do you remember what you wanted to do with Plastic Man?
Yeah, I think
it was a stretch.
It was, you know. I think the idea was that I wanted to do like a split page thing where on one side of the page was the Plastic Man adventure that was typical and we would know, but on the other side it was him in a home for the criminally insane like Arkham, and he could never stretch at all. It was his mind that warped. And so you would have, you know, the insanity of the goofiness and the insanity of the real world constantly in conflict with each other.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think
that would be fun.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be fun. And it seems like that could almost be one note until you begin to play it in the realm where it goes like Don Quixote and, you know, he's escaped from Arkham, and on the other side you see, you know, Gotham, but on the other side he's going on these crazy adventures and actually doing things he thinks are heroic, but it just grows into this sense of, you know, fun and sadness.
Yeah. That sounds like one of those things that would be a good like Black Label thing for DC, like that they're doing now.
Wow. And I haven't thought about that project in so long, but if today would bring that back, that's amazing. Once
that would be awesome.
Once again, I wish we were all eating like deep fried shrimp at the Naughty Gal to celebrate the beginning of this story, if it happens.
We can do that.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna try and get back there this summer. I usually do once every summer, and I'll let you know, Jim, because I know you're planning to be there at some time. Maybe we can get together.
Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing! I would love that so much.
And if you're going to drive, you should drive through Fort Collins.
Oh yeah. You know what? I think the next drive, like usually I have my wife with me, and then it just becomes a different kind of experience. But no, I would do that. That would be totally fun. And I think April is my mom's birthday, and she'll be 83, and she still clowns, ironically, at Brewer games. She does face painting.
Oh, nice.
You know, and she sounds like Bobby's mom from Bobby's World completely.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you know where Verona, Wisconsin is?
Verona?
Yeah,
of course we know where Verona.
I know you do. I'm asking.
No, I think I drove through it.
You probably did. It was not very big. Now it's like it's one of those towns where they built some kind of a big.
It's called the Epic Center, and it's a self-enclosed campus that. Includes recreation and housing for people who work for Epic Health Systems, which is in Madison. And there's a bus that takes them back and forth. And they work like dogs for like 6 months. And then they get like 2 months off paid vacation. It's a real big deal. I've been there. We took a tour of it. A friend of mine took me down there. It's huge.
It's huge. It's really. I mean, there was like nothing. There was not much there before I think the only restaurant that they had in town when I lived there was an A&W root beer thing.
Because
and that was about it.
It was farm country, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, so that's when I was there. When I was there, it was with my very first advertising job, and I think I was still in college at the time, but I was writing ads for teat dip, which is what you rub on a cow's udders before that you milk them, and that kind of thing. So
wow,
yeah,
it was
fun. They were fun to talk to.
Yeah, it looks it's like night and day now. Now it's it exploded because of that big place and everything. But yeah,
health insurance.
Yep, there's no money in that.
I used to work for a health insurance company. I was working there one day when the guy called me up and said, "There's some guy down here trying to sell us his art, and you should take a look." And that's how I met Steve Rude.
Oh, that's amazing. I was just at a con with Steve. It was like the wildest little one-day convention in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona. But it wasn't like the big Phoenix, Arizona. It was like they called it like Superhero Saturday.
That's Mark Schweikert's con.
Yeah. Mark was such a great guy, and it was fun. And my parents have a timeshare in Phoenix, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's 6 hours, but I'll drive down. And Mark's con is good for the kids, and it was fun. And it was fun to say hi to Steve again. And Gene Ha was there, and it was fun.
Yeah, I wish I could have made it, but that would have been another flight.
Yeah.
And
one of my favorite burger places ever that I've been to is in Phoenix.
I've been to a couple around there. Do you remember the name? Or
I think it's called Wilderness DTPH. So it's like Wilderness Phoenix, but it's like an outdoor area, and they have one of those peanut butter with jalapeno jam,
right? Yeah,
kind of hamburgers and
gourmet hamburgers.
Yeah, and beer, of course, and beer.
Yeah, my daughter lives. Well, she did live in Phoenix, and now she lives in the other place, Tucson.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Did you know? I know this is going to be stupid. People are going to be like, "Why are you talking about this?" But since you like the rest of this,
talking about all kinds of things I never expect to talk about, so all good.
Yeah. No. Two things. If you have never been there, when you've been around Phoenix, they have, which I sent Mike pictures. And I told him he has to go there since he's a big music fan. But they have an awesome musical instruments museum that is,
really?
yeah, it's outside of Phoenix. It's super cool. We spent about 3 hours there and did not get to see it all.
Wow.
Next time I go, and I'm
It's-
sure you will, because Dude flies me down there periodically to sign the books that he
Yep.
produces, the Nexus.
Yep. Yeah, it's really cool, and you can do like one of those guided tour things, and it's cool since it's a musical thing because then you can hear all the different music from all over the world and everything.
Oh, yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, I know what it was. Something that, and it's just stupid because it's this little town. There's not much else to see there. But did you know that the London Bridge is in Arizona? Somebody bought it.
I had heard that.
Yeah, it's actually somebody bought it and then they moved it to this little town in Arizona. And I wanted to go see it sometime when I was.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm going to do that for sure.
I was like, that's just so weird. I was like, I definitely want to see it.
A couple of years ago, Dude and I visited the Arizona Biltmore, which is a hotel designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. And that's worth touring because it's just magnificent. I'm a huge Wright freak because he's all over Wisconsin, and I've seen a lot of his buildings. And we're in the gift shop, and I was buying a hat or something. Hang on one second, guys. And we're in the gift shop, and I said, well, yesterday we did a ride along, and the woman behind the counter said, who did you do a ride along with? And I said, Mark Schweikert. And she says, oh, Mark, everybody knows Mark.
Wow.
Yeah, he was so nice. I had a whole bunch of the Neon Future comics with me, and so I signed them all and gave them all to the cops, like all the police who had been part of the con. It was a stack of maybe 20 or 30 books, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's too much." So I brought me some of those coins that the police or the Navy or the Army has.
Oh wow, yeah.
One of those. I have this growing collection of coins that I feel like I should carry in my car just in case I get pulled over.
Yeah.
And I have in the past.
You have been pulled over, or you have carried them in the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you don't have to do the whole crying thing or whatever when they pull you over. So.
Yeah, it never works for me because of the villainous look. There was.
Yeah.
I have spent one night in an Ohio penitentiary just because of speeding, but because there was some sort of license problem I was unaware of. It was a night in the pen, and it was shortly after I started shaving my head.
Oh wow. Skinhead.
And it was my birthday. So the irony is, like, at least I was naked in front of somebody on my birthday. But the idea is it was the full orange jammies, the full suit, and when they took me to the back room and they had the 2 levels and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I looked at the main guard who works the switches for what opens the doors and closes the doors. He looked at me with my cleanly shaven head and he said, "Back again? Maybe you'll learn your lesson this time."
That's profiling.
It was. It's really, there's a brotherhood of the bald. You walk down the street, you see, and there's a nod.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I teased some of my friends, and this is before the pandemic, but a few of us in the Tampa Bay area. That's where I live, in the Tampa Bay area, and
Cool.
we were at a store, and like there were 4 or 5 of us, and all of us were bald that were there, and I think I called us the Bald Brigade or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the guys got offended, but then we got so much traction on Facebook from it that he's like, "Okay, yeah, it's fun. It's funny."
Oh yeah. I heard that South Tampa Comics is opening up there, and I'm so excited to check out that store one of these days.
There's a lot. I mean, we actually have quite a few good comic stores.
Oh,
now.
Really? Who else is there?
Well, I'm friends with the guys at Yancey Street. Emerald City Comics is actually really good. and they do a lot of big stuff, and they even have like a separate a room where they do all kinds of stuff there. But I mean that place is like really big because it was Emerald City Comics was originally split into like 4 different stores, and then they combined them into one big like not quite warehouse size, but it's almost that idea. Like it's
like
really big.
Is it like stepping into Mile High the first time you do?
It's not quite as crazy as Mile High, but it's
oh, that's cool.
It's pretty big, and obviously anytime you have that many comics and that much stuff, there's always a lot of super rare, super cool stuff that they have there. And
oh my gosh, yeah. I need to come up with a new thing to search for because I've got like a couple of the collections I've always wanted everything of, and like I've got a complete run of all the UK Captain Britain stuff.
Oh yeah,
all the original Claremont Shrimp stuff through all the weeklies and everything. All the Alan Moore, Alan Davis stuff. Some of it's signed, like all that stuff. So I love that, and I also have a complete collection of the variant Marvel Masterworks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So those are the two, but now I'm kind of like, oh, what do I want? What do I like? You go to a con, it's kind of nice to dollar bin it or come home with something. So I always like go on some kind of a search.
And I should bring this up because one of the things that I had most recently kind of completed my collection of the comic book issues was Earth X.
Oh, cool! Awesome.
Yeah, I actually had gotten all of those, and I was only missing a couple, and because I will say like I'm bad and good. It depends on how you view it. Is like because I do like really treasure like certain ones and ones that I really like, but then when I'm trying to get other people into it, like I'll give them to them, and sometimes I'll give them to even if they're leaving the country or something.
I give away so much stuff. I feel so bad later. I'm kind of like, oh, I shouldn't have given that. That one's
yeah. That's
Oh, Mike, amazing.
Oh wow.
What's so funny is that graffiti book that came out in the hardcover, and they did this whole thing. It's like for years you could get it for like $10 on eBay. Not anymore.
So I think have you done some TV and movie stuff too, or mainly comic?
I'm working on a movie right now, but again, that's something I can't talk about.
Right.
Shows, but a lot of times, you sell it, you get paid, and then it goes into turnaround.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have some. I do that. I think half my income is that.
Yeah.
And the other half is comics, which is awesome. And I'm starting to, because I just want to be like Mike. I'm starting to write like short stories and prose, and I've got some of that stuff beginning to come out.
That's cool. I was going to ask you, just a little bit about your process or how you write, or even like how it's changed over time, like how you used to write as opposed to the way that.
How do you write now? Do you write full script?
I write full script, all the time. It's usually I write a page. This is kind of the idea. This is kind of like what I kind of want to do, and then I break that down into pages, and then like rough panels of the page. Then I kind of fill in the panels with more description while I script. And then I look back at the script and I see if it's all working, and if it doesn't work, then I fix things. And sometimes I'll write a whole scene, and I'll be like, I'll take that out of the script and I'll save it for the next issue.
Do you outline?
I do, yeah.
Me too. I never used to.
I definitely outline because when I write, there's usually a single thing, a single idea that I want to say, or maybe just a piece of dialogue, or maybe a moment that I want to have, and I want to make sure that everything is serving that moment, because I treat that moment almost as like the inspiration to it, the sacred thing that no matter what else changes in the writing of the script, because stuff always changes and stuff like that. That's true. Even do it. So
But I invariably veer away from the outline, but I only do that because I think the story gets better. And
Right.
I always think that a writer has to surprise himself before it can surprise the reader. And when you get into the guts of the story, and your character and the situation, at some point the character is going to turn around and tell you what he's going to do next.
Yeah, no, that definitely happens. Or there are times I want a character to do something, and by that point in the story, that's not what the character would do anymore. So
Right.
maybe someone else has to do it, or that line has to be said by someone else if it even still fits. But again, I
Right.
never mess with the inspiration. The
Right.
inspiration,
It forces you to think, and
yeah,
sometimes when you back away from the keyboard, that's when your best ideas come. When you're forced to stop and think,
yeah, and
because
you're forced to work it. It's kind of like you're creating a puzzle, and you're creating the image of the puzzle, but there's like a math to the puzzle too, and everything has to work together so that it equals a story in the end.
Are you I don't know how it is like working with Alex or some other people, but especially like Alex, like I didn't know how specific you get as far as the panels, or whether you're just like, okay, they say this, it's kind of this, but I don't want to give you too much direction.
Well, it really depends, because of course what I was doing with both Justice and Earth X,
Yeah,
and even Marvel's X and stuff like that. In a lot of cases, I'm not writing a script specifically for Alex to draw. I'm writing a script that another artist will draw. Or in Justice, Doug Braithwaite will
right.
pencil, and then Alex will paint over. And sometimes Alex would change subtly the way the pencils were, or the design was, or he'll have very much an inspiration for what he wants the picture to look like, or he wants the image to look like, and sometimes the artist will do their version of it, or they'll just take it another level, or they'll do exactly what Alex suggested.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes and sometimes that's where the kind of inspiration and creativity comes in, is massaging the panels to work
Right.
properly with the other pages, and especially so you get the when you can get some kind of a effective page turn or whatever in there.
There's only been 2 times that Alex was really, I think, where he called me up and he was like, "What are you doing? No, no, no." That only happened twice. That only happened twice. And one of them was during Avengers Invaders,
Yeah.
because there were so many characters. You had like
Oh yeah.
Invaders, and you had the Avengers, and we're dealing with Cap is dead in the present, but here's Cap from the past, and there's
Yeah.
Tony Stark, who feels responsible for killing. You had all this stuff going on, and I was like, okay, Spider-Man's part of the Avengers now. He's not going to have an arc. I just want him in every panel he's in to make a joke. And so I just wrote Spider-Man. And there's a point in Avengers Invaders, like I wrote him specifically to be so obnoxious and so fun. And there's a point in that series where the characters have to go to the past, and to not upset the timeline, blah, blah, blah. They have to, like, even the modern day Avengers have to pose as and costume themselves up as like classic 1940s timely era Marvel characters. And so they have Spider-Man be the Challenger, dressed up as this old character named the Challenger. And
Yeah.
the thing that I wanted to do that I didn't get to do in that was, I wanted everyone to pretend that they knew all about who the Challenger was, and the Challenger was a very serious character who almost said nothing all the time, because they were so sick of Spider-Man's jokes.
Yeah.
That idea made me laugh so much. But Alex was like, Spider-Man's a serious character. He jokes, but there's so much pathos and there's so much emotion. And I was like, yeah, but there's so many characters. He's kind of a caricature here, blah, blah. So
Yes,
I got in trouble for that one.
Pathos and emotion in every panel.
And the other one in Paradise X, there was a point when you find out that, because of the story goes in all these directions, but you find out that King Britain, who is Captain Britain, now the King of Britain, to align themselves with other species and for the good of the earth, he's going to marry Black Bolt's widow, Medusa. And I had this whole scene written, and I wish I still had it because I loved it so much, where Ben Grimm learns about this, and he goes on and on about how King Britain is a lucky guy. He said, "Oh God, it's Medusa," and then his wife, what's her name, Alicia, comes in, and he pretends that he's possessed by Doctor Doom, and goes like, "Doom, get out of me! The spirit of Reed compels you. Get out of me!" And it was this whole like 3-4 page thing of the Thing being caught. And then going on and pretending he's possessed before his wife, who wasn't buying any of it. Yeah, I didn't get to do that scene.
So Alex didn't like that one either.
That said, because it was too funny. If I go too funny, Alex is usually like, okay, back to plot, back to character. And that's the right thing. We all need our editors. Yeah. I need an editor more than anyone. So
everybody needs an editor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like even what you were bringing up, Mike, about about outlining, and that one thing where I'm like, oh, this is the inspiration, this is the thing that I have to work around to make sure I achieve. It's like we need boundaries. If we don't have that boundary within our writing, yes, the sky's the limit, but the sky kind of goes on forever, and eventually I get bored of blue, So
they're coming for you.
I was gonna say, it's like it's not the Madison's not the most dangerous place anymore.
Well,
I can't imagine how you said that. You'll have to tell me.
Our apartment building, it was 3 guys who all thought I was somebody else.
Oh, it's because you had long hair and Mike had long hair. No, he didn't have long hair.
No. And the only like, I was married to someone at the time who, to put it bluntly, was praying to God that I would die in a car accident. And so for a split second, I was like, it's not a car accident, but he's answering her prayer. What is this? What kind of God would do that?
Well, and that's why they built the insurance place at Verona, not that far away.
All the crime, but now the crime's gone, so
it's all connected.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what was the I don't know, forgive me if it's still around, the 26 soldiers or whatever thing that you had?
The foot soldiers.
Yeah, 26 soldiers. I had I wanted to come up with some things, and no publisher was going to let me do them. So I published a couple things under that imprint, and I may still do some other things under that imprint. But one of them was to take a comic book binding, and rather than have it be on the long side, to do it on the short side, so you can get a real panorama. And so
I love that.
I did this thing called the Flyboys that was part of that, which was set in the 40s, and I had this idea of characters having these handheld propellers that they would hold on to. So it's almost like a kid when he's running and he's got his arm out, and he's running. And so I wrote that, and those are some of the characters that are buried in the foot soldiers' graveyard. So I was just playing with stuff like that. And then this really relates to 26 soldiers. I had a project called Alphabet Soups, which was a team of 26 heroes, each with a different letter of the alphabet on their chest, and what they spelled they could transform into. And so all the vowels were kind of overworked. Q was codependent on U because he couldn't spell anything without her. E and I were always fighting over who should go first. Y had was kind of bipolar. Is she a vowel or a consonant? S was,
but you only had one of each letter, right?
Yeah, only one of each letter. But they had these assistants, these robotic assistants that would follow them sometimes, called the Alphabots, and they could mirror the letter they were standing next to.
Right.
If I wanted to spell something and that kind of thing. So, like one of the stories I didn't get to tell, was one where the letter I gets hit on the head and has amnesia, is wandering Alphabet City, while the rest of the team has to come up with words that don't include an I to try to track him down. And then, of course, the title was "It's Only Funny Till Someone Loses an Eye."
Why couldn't it have been Z?
And that actually, I bet, because of all of the words and things like that, I bet that would work as a prose thing.
Yeah, no. Well, you know what? I think his short stories, I think, could become too confusing or too
if it was a long,
problematic eventually.
A writer has to have every tool at his disposal. Any of these gimmicks that say write a novel without using the letter I or the letters.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you might be able to do it without the letter Z, but save the ideas for the world that you create, and don't integrate the text into it. I always think that's a mistake. You know what I mean? When you use text as part of the story, as a visual art, there's a term for it. I don't know what it is, but I've seen stories done like that before, where they set out to write a story without using certain letters just to see if they can do it. And one guy set out to write a novel that was a palindrome. He set out to write a 60,000 word novel that was a palindrome, but there's no way you can make that make sense.
Well, people, I guess he had a lot of time.
Michael Chabon has a chapter in Berkeley Avenue about a parrot, and the chapter is 5,000 words long, and it's one sentence.
Wow.
Oh, it's Telegraph Avenue. Excuse me, Telegraph Avenue.
Wow, I get it. That's awesome. So he's saying he's the Orson Welles of writers. Well,
the interesting thing is that it's a very readable chapter. You don't notice. You're not treading water there. You're following the words along through the story, and it's all through this parrot's point of view as he escapes from his cage and flies around the city. A 5,000 word sentence.
Well, now I just want to read that because I didn't even know about that. So
yeah, it's a pretty good book.
Yeah, and Mike really loves this speech that's in what is it, Atlas Shrugged, where it's the
oh no,
John Galt's speech is 100 pages long. No, I do not love this speech.
So what the world needs more 100-page long speeches.
It's going to send us all back to Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
I wish that Ayn Rand were a better writer. She's not a very good writer. The novels are a slog, especially Atlas Shrugged.
Oh yeah,
I
enjoy Fountainhead a lot, though. I enjoyed Fountainhead.
She was a creature of her time.
Yeah, and I enjoyed Steve Ditko's The Question, which she also wrote. So
they were both objectivists.
Yeah. So
do you know? I agree.
Do you know who Bosch Fawston is?
No.
Bosch is an artist and a pamphleteer who contributes a great deal to Front Page Mag. Bosch won the contest of Who Draws Muhammad. He won that contest. He won $10,000, and they had a festival down in Texas, and a couple of jihadis came to kill everybody at the festival, but a security guard killed them instead. It happened about 8 or 9 years ago. And Bosch has put out a couple of comics himself. He's a very effective pamphleteer and illustrator. He's not a complete illustrator like most of the comic guys we work with, but as a propagandist, he's superb. And he puts stuff out all the time, very powerful images. He's on Facebook. I don't know why I mentioned that, except that he's a huge Ayn Rand nut.
Wow, yeah, I'll look him up. That sounds cool.
What other things do you like to read?
I just got a bunch of I've just entered, and this is both reading and watching. I'm like on this noir kick. I just love crime fiction and crime movies, and like one of the things I gave to so many people this year was this noir movie I found called Alias Nick Beale. with Ray Milland, and the idea is that the actor who played Uncle Billy on It's a Wonderful Life,
Yeah.
you know, who everyone hates, and it's like, you gave the money to Potter, you idiot, and you don't even remember, blah, blah, like all that stuff, and we just want bad things for it. He plays this good man who wants to bring down this criminal. He says, you know what? I would give my soul to bring that down. And in comes evil Ray Milland, who bit by bit tries to corrupt this guy. Like it's almost a supernatural film by the end.
Yeah,
and I
will check it out. Have you ever seen Nightmare Alley, the original with Tyrone Power?
Oh yeah, and I just saw the new one the other night with a Q&A from Del Toro. Amazing.
How was it?
Yeah, it's great. It's a little bleaker than the original, but I love it. And then I'll go back to your book thing because, you know, favorite book of recent time. No, I loved it, Mike, so much, and I like the original.
Yeah,
the original has a slightly happier ending, but I would say it's kind of bittersweet because it suggests
Mike is planning on seeing it, so he's very interested.
The original has Tyrone Power taking over the role of the geek in the carnival, the guy that bites the heads off chickens.
Right. So in the original, you know, at least there's the love interest there. And, you know, there's a little bit of hope, but maybe not hope, because has she just become like the mystic whose drunken husband Tyrone Power killed in that movie? Has she just taken that on? So is it bleak for not only Tyrone Power, but now also bleak for her because she's taken on that curse?
Right.
This movie's different.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. But we saw a movie the other day. It was the first movie we've seen in years. House of Gucci.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Was it great?
Yeah,
awesome.
It was very good. And that guy, Adam Driver, was brilliant as one of the Guccis. I couldn't believe it was him.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I wanna like him because I even, you know, I like that movie Black Klansman a lot. I thought he was good as a cop in that, and you know, but it's really funny because his Kylo Ren was kind of at Disneyland here.
Yeah.
At one point when you know The Force Awakens came out and stuff like that, you know, there's Kylo Ren. Have your picture taken with Kylo Ren, but no one wanted to take their picture with the guy who killed Han Solo.
Did you see the Saturday Night Live bit he did?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I'll Google it.
It's see, I'm sorry.
The Saturday Night Live bit he did he was playing Kylo Ren. It was Undercover Boss, and he's like, and it's Kylo Ren as the undercover boss.
Yep, I do remember that. It was amazing.
It was hilarious.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Yeah, Mike, you got to see it's.
Well, I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in years, but I'll look that up.
It's still on YouTube. Yeah, it's been a long time.
There was a SNL one where Biden is going on and on about the virus spreading because people were watching Spider-Man movie over and over, and they need to stop going to the theaters to watch Spider-Man. And he goes on, and then other Bidens show up from alternate realities, telling him that they come from a reality where there is no, you know, where there is no virus, or we solved it right away. And he's like, oh, so everyone loves me there. And they're like, no. It was so funny.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes, sometimes they nail it, but it's less so often these days.
Yeah, I just wish we could get Will Ferrell as George Bush again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So anyhow, back to your book. And I found this was the other thing I was giving people for Christmas this year is, and this is a giant surprise, but Ethan Hawke has this book out called Rules for a Night.
Yeah.
And the story behind it goes is they found a letter at some great aunt's farm when she had passed, and they tried to get they've tried to find proof to say it is a letter from medieval times or it's not, and that from that era, from the Dark Ages. But it's the story of a father thinking he's going to go into battle the next day and he's going to die, and so he spends the night writing his sons and daughters a letter about his wisdom. It's like a self-help book filled with great stories that all have to do like wisdom and kindness and patience and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's one of my favorites ever.
Yeah, he's a really good writer.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, and the book is like inspiring. After I read it, I like even got a tape of it, like, or I got it downloaded so I could listen to it, like when I'm driving to Wisconsin or Arizona, or I'm off to Seattle soon.
Yeah, I remember because it was I think even when he was in college, he was cranking out some really awesome stuff for screenplays or something that he was writing, and I was getting to read some of them, and I'm like, he's that good looking and he can write that well. I was like, this is not fair.
Didn't he play Chet Baker in Born to Be Blue? Was that Ethan Hawke?
Oh, I don't remember. But I'm so
Because
glad up for Jazz Mike, because we haven't gotten to talk about that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well, that movie is very powerful, and I recommend it.
Oh, cool.
Let's
Look
see.
it up. Sure.
Let's see. Born to Be Blue. Chet Baker, Born to Be Blue. The Netflix. However, it is Ethan Hawke. He is Chet Baker. I mean, it's just brilliant. Guys, I have to take off now because I got a call that is scheduled. So I hope JS doesn't ruin everything, but I'm going to leave him in. I'm going to leave you in JS's hands.
No, awesome. I only have a couple more minutes left too, but this has been awesome. Like, favorite podcast ever. All we're doing is talking about shit, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we don't really have an agenda per se. It's more just getting to letting people know the people that we're talking to too.
Okay, so Mike, before you go before you leave, what's your favorite jazz album of all time? Like you may have many of them, but if there was someone in a hospital,
with that,
if you were in Madison and somebody had a gun to your head.
I have an answer to that. It's because I couldn't name just my favorite jazz album, but the one jazz album I always recommend to people who are interested in jazz is Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
Oh, that's such a great album. Such a great album. I go crazier just because I'm always like kind of blown away by it, but I go Mingus, Blues and Roots.
Well, I love Mingus too. I saw him once.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, we'll have to have this conversation another time. I didn't know you were a jazz nut too.
My first concert in life was Woody Herman right before he died at the orphanage in Milwaukee that he grew up.
Fabulous.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was so exciting.
I don't get me started because we'd be going all night. Okay, guys, it's been great.
Thanks,
I'll
Mike.
talk to you soon.
See ya. I always owe you.
No, you don't. But we'll get together.
Oh, I don't know why I did that. Anyways, yeah, I can let you go soon too. I just didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about. I know you have. He has a project with some sort of musical group or something that he can't talk about.
Well, Z2 is putting out graphic novels, and I'm doing one with them, and it's really awesome. I can't say who it is or how it's all working, but it's amazing. The other really cool thing that's going on right now, JS, is because of where your shirt is, it looks like you're Batman.
Yeah, there we go. I gotta get my shoulders out.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And then, just a shout out for, like, I feel like Marvel's X, not everyone knows that that's a prequel to Earth X. So
yeah,
like Earth X, they should totally find the Marvel's X trade paperback. But even that, I think, is out of print from Marvel already, or about to go back to print. And then I have some obscure things that people might only be able to get on Amazon right now. And one of them is called The High Cost of Happily Ever After, which is a dark fairy tale. It's the heroic journey of the damsel in distress. There's The Runner, which is about a guy who's been on the run from the Angel of Death since 1936. And he's not getting any older. And and he gets pulled back into a chance to go from coward to hero again. And finally, and this just came out last year, right around the time of Marvel's X, there's a trade paperback of a series called The No Ones I did, which is about a team of celebrity superheroes who get cursed to insignificance, so that no matter what they do or what they say, people always forget that they were ever there in the first place.
Interesting. And where is that available, or what is that?
You got to go through Amazon, or the No Ones you
like
can
that.
probably get through. You almost have to Google it. It was a small company.
Okay.
They were like, "Hey Jim, can you help us out? We want some extra stuff." And I was like, "Oh, I have this idea," and they wanted something deeper and more exciting. And so, this deals with us, especially in our, in our Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter world. What happens if it's all wiped away and you can do whatever you want to do and no one will ever remember it?
Yeah.
Are you going to be a hero then, or are you going to be something else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's no.
Yeah, I was also going to say, and make sure you guys check out Tomo, because he's really proud of. He's really proud of that.
Okay. You know what? Okay, so I should explain. So Tomo was for a company called Zondervan, who put out completely, Christian material. And so it's this like animal, it's about like a little girl, like Karate Kid, like the Karate Kid, ultimately going into this fantasy world and helping kind of save the people in that world that were being changed into animals. And they didn't have a story for me at all, other than like, they're doing this and blah, blah, blah. And so I ultimately have it suggested that because the devil got kicked out of this world, he's now in that one, and he's changing people into animals so that he can rename them and have power over them.
Interesting.
And I still like that idea. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a fun idea. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. And I'm just, I'm teasing. Believe me, I brought up.
I liked writing it, and I liked everyone I got to work with. And I actually think I get a little worried sometimes because people, have lots of legitimate concerns for their own beliefs and stuff.
Right.
Like
yeah.
This is just like, oh, okay. This is the world. This is the world to work in and to inhabit, and these are the rules of the world. And I actually think it turned out good.
Yeah. No, that's like I said. I mean, it's one of the ones that I actually enjoyed. The one I was working on was, and it's funny. It's one of those the Mango Bible thing, because it came from Korea, and I had to rewrite all this stuff because a lot of it was very comedy and humor oriented, and none of the Korean humor really worked with an American audience. So I was rewriting the whole thing, and like every issue was like 300 pages or whatever. So it was like, it's crazy. But it was an exercise in frustration for me, because it was mostly comedy, and we had like 4 editors on the book, and everybody has a different opinion of what's funny. So it was just a nightmare getting anything that I really thought was funny into it. But there's lots of people that love it. There's lots of and there's people that just absolutely, they're like, man, it's like, it was so great and so fun. I'm like, oh man, if you knew what I went through behind the scenes.
Well, and I mean, that just goes to show, like, when you become a writer, and you never know what gigs you're going to get. You never know what's going to come in front of you. Like, there is a giant company I'm doing a project for right now. I'll just hint at it being the service industry.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, they brought me some leadership principles, and they said, we want you to turn it into a superhero comic. And I'm doing so. And it's one of my favorite things ever. Like, wow. I can't believe how great it is. It's turning into just one of those books that I'm just in shock because it's so good.
Is there anything else like that you've done that you were surprised at just like how well it turned out?
Yeah. And I should close here with a little bit of a confession. I was the one who created Combo Man for Combo Snacks years ago.
Oh, wow.
It started out as a little ad that Marvel was doing in in league with Combo Snacks, and then it turned into this giant thing. Like I've been collecting all the swag for. I have a basketball of Combo Man. I have like a fancy like sportsman's jacket and T-shirts and cards. And Mark Grunwald wrote a Combo Man comic book. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
So Combo Man for sure.
Interesting.
Even a watch. I have a Combo Man watch.
Hey, and you know what's funny, and Mike and I had talked about this before, but yeah, one of the comics that my son loved and really got a kick out of, but he legitimately liked it, was Atari Force, and that was Mike's first published comic, actually.
Oh my gosh, and it was so good. It was so good.
And it's like you would not think that an Atari Force thing would be that great, but it's like, you know, if you give Mike, you know, a chance to do something like that, I mean, it's
oh my gosh, totally. There was a company that I had started working for, and then COVID kind of shut them down. But there was a project I was going to bring Mike on.
Oh wow!
Idea that of mine that they really liked, and I was like, well, let's get Mike Barron to do it, and they were all excited. And I sent Mike kind of my 2-page, 3-page write-up on it, and he was really into it. And then the company just disappeared, as companies did during COVID.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll come back, and you know, I'll get a chance to do it again, or maybe not. But Mike would have killed on that property.
Oh yeah, he would almost. But anyways. Yeah, we can let you go. Definitely check out all this stuff that that Jim brought up, and definitely.
And my Instagram is I am Jim Krueger, just the letter I, the letter M, and then Jim Krueger. So definitely, I promote stuff, and you know.
Is that mostly where you are, or do you spend some time on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook too. I haven't had a website in a long time. I'm sure that eventually I'll get there. And this is almost a hint. Save those foot soldiers comics. So that's all I'll say.
That's cool.
Yeah, very, very excited about that.
Very, very cool. Yeah, that was looking pretty good. Because I have not read those, but I was, when I was going over everything and trying to get ready for this, I was like, oh yeah, it's like those look really cool. It's like I meant to check that out. But
no, awesome.
Very cool. Well, we'll let you go. Definitely go follow him on Instagram, and didn't mean to do that.
No, it's okay.
But I
saying bye. See you. Thanks. Lots of fun.